Hey everyone, this is David. Welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one, the only Gregg McBride.
Yes, there is only one and only of me, thank goodness.
What is going on today? Welcome behind the velvet rope.
Thank you. Well, listen, you know what? I've been very lucky in my life. Like I've had Shirley MacLaine star in one of my movies and just have had some wonderful events. But I have to tell you, this is a milestone for me. I have so many girlfriends that are addicted to your podcast, and be they male or female. And they could give two shits about what I do. I mean, they're very supportive, but being on your podcast, like I have arrived. So hello, everyone. Here I am.
Well, thank you for saying that. Make sure all these girlfriends and all their friends listen to this episode. That would be, amazing. You are the writer, you're a writer, and you wrote Mommy Meanest, this wonderful Lifetime movie, which premiered on Saturday, the 11th at 8 p.m. on Lifetime. It is still repeating. That is the joy of Lifetime. They repeat these things. So everyone needs to check it out who hasn't seen it. It's also streaming. So welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I could not be more excited about this movie. You never know what's gonna catch on and sort of become part of the zeitgeist, or that people are going to start talking about, and you really can't predict it either. I think maybe I had a hint that that might happen when we were lucky enough to get Lisa Rinna to star in it. And I wasn't quite sure what to expect because I'd been a fan of her for years, going all the way back to the original Melrose Place when I was 3. And, just have always loved her and her spark and her, take no prisoners attitude. But I wasn't sure what to expect when meeting her. And I was lucky enough that the Lifetime executive introduced us early on. And she had read the script, was a big fan of it, had a few ideas even, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love her. And so she's just this force to be reckoned with, and that's absolutely what was necessary for this movie, because the lead role is someone so detestable, but it's really got to be played by someone you love to watch. And then also too, I was really thrilled with the fact that she really wanted to get into the psychology underneath the character. She just wasn't playing it for chills and thrills. She really wanted to get under there and understand what would drive somebody to cyberbully their own daughter.
Well, I told you I was, I mean, which is, I think, what you heard or Lisa heard or somebody heard, and then you post like, I mean, I was more excited. I have watched it now. I was more excited to watch this than anything that has happened on Housewives in the past many years.
I love that, and I got to tell you, my girlfriend Deb sent me the episode. I listened to it. I immediately sent it to Lisa, and we were texting back and forth, talking about how excited we were by your trailer reaction. And that's when, because even with her, and she's great at working the media, but you just never know what is going to catch on. And thankfully, the creative folks at Lifetime just created a wonderful trailer, even a little bit different than their other trailers. And, I feel very lucky. I've written 2 Lifetime movies, and I have been given kind of a wide berth when writing them to kind of go outside the box, because a lot of these movies are based on true stories, or kind of a crime, or as I call it, the train wreck of the week. But to me, that's 10 minutes, right? What makes a movie cinematic? And so to be able to go in underneath, and this movie was inspired by actual events, not based on actual events. So that gave me a little bit more latitude to fictionalize things as well. And so when we heard your trailer reaction, we were super excited.
Well, I'm glad that you and Lifetime and Lisa Rinna enjoyed my trailer reaction. How, I mean, because, right, the movie starts and it does say like inspired by true events. Like, is it, and you did write another Lifetime movie, which I know Melissa Joan Hart was in. Like, is it easier when it's based on like inspired by a true story to write something like this, or is it actually harder?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's harder. The one with Melissa Joan Hart in it was called "Would You Kill for Me?" and it was a musical. Just kidding. It was not a
I was
musical.
like, what
Um,
was it, huh?
you're like, what? And it was about this girl who, when she was 11, her mother convinced her to kill her abusive stepfather, and she did it. And the movie, it was just so dark and so tragic. And the woman who wrote the book, who did it, was involved. And so I too am from severe abuse as a child. And so I didn't want to do anything to dishonor her. And in that case, Lifetime let me tell the story from three different perspectives. So you see it from the little girl's point of view, you see it from the mom's point of view, and also the grandmother's point of view. So it's sort of a Rashomon kind of thing. And again, that Lifetime was willing to take that chance was great. Melissa Joan Hart was fantastic because she just was not worried about being glam at all. Like, and there was a big TikTok sensation over the fact that Melissa Joan Hart was playing a grandmother, albeit a young grandmother, but a grandmother nonetheless. But she was just all in, which was fantastic. And then, coming back to this story, I think what really excited me about it is, you've seen the movie, is there's a whole high school element to it. So, those of us that remember the golden days of the CW, there's that aspect to the movie. So it's really fun, to get into it at that perspective. But then also too, like Lisa, I think her performance is kind of unexpected, in that she is really so many of her choices were sort of understated. And so as a writer, that's thrilling because you do try to, of course you want these scandalous moments. That's what a lot of the Lifetime audience turns in for. But for a movie to really resonate or really be fun or really be twisty turny, there's got to be, ins and outs that keeps people watching for 90 minutes.
Did you grow up like a lover of pop culture? Like when you became a writer, like did you always want to go to LA? Like you mentioned, like, look, Melissa Joan Hart and Lisa Rinna, like, right, the CW, like these are the people that we grew up loving, right?
Oh, 100%. Like I am such a fanboy and I will never lose that side of myself. Like I remember being 13 years old, watching a movie trailer and thinking, and I didn't know it was called a trailer at that time, but just remembering getting goosebumps and thinking like, I want to excite audiences like this. And so that I get to do it is fantastic. And I actually grew up overseas. My dad was in the Air Force. So I lived in Singapore, I lived in Germany, and we traveled quite a bit. And I hated it. I was a fat kid, a fat little closeted kid on military bases. And so I was so obsessed with American culture. And in fact, over there, we had what was called the AFN TV channel, Armed Forces Network. And their shows were so old. Like there was just no current TV. Like they kept showing Policewoman over and over again. And so I would watch TV, like in Germany, I would watch Dallas because they would show first run episodes. Never mind that JR was getting shot in German. Like I was just so obsessed. And, to see something like Dallas that was originated in the States, but then had this great following all over the world back in the day was so exciting. And so, yes, that definitely motivated me. And I think had I not been a fat